Hello, Fightful Faithful, and welcome to another episode of SOUR GRAPS. I'm your host, Alex Pawlowski, and everything sucks. It's Raw, so it sucks a lot less than SmackDown, which is like it's legally classified as torture in some countries. Like if they sit a prisoner down, prisoner of war, and they sit them down and they force their eyelids open and they make them watch an episode of SmackDown, it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. That's how bad SmackDown is. Raw, by comparison, is like good. I won't say great. By comparison, it's good. Like in a vacuum, it's still shit. But because we're trained to like look at WWE as like comparing it to it itself. I mean, it's so much better than SmackDown. It's so much better than SmackDown, but it's still bad. And I'm going to tell you why, because that's what I do here. I will say there is an angle on this show that has the potential to be so fucking great. I know they're going to fuck it up because they always fuck it up. But until they do, it still has so much potential to be so fucking great. We'll talk about that at length at the end of the show because that's how the show ends. But let's start with the bad stuff, which is everything else. Here's the deal. Is it bad to get a surprise triple threat match featuring AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre when we just thought we were going to get another Randy Orton and AJ Styles match? Is that bad? No. I'll always take Drew McIntyre added to things. That's great. Drew McIntyre being a babyface? Now, see, here's the thing. I have to be consistent. I want to be consistent. I hate that they basically made Lacey Evans into a babyface without changing her character at all. Like the way that she treats people, the way that she speaks, why she is who she is, that's all the same. Heel to babyface. I hate that on SmackDown, so I got to be consistent and not really love it when it's Drew McIntyre, who's basically the same dude, but he gets along with the crowd now. Like, here's the thing. I honestly feel like the only delineation between babyface and heel in WWE anymore is whether or not you say mean things to the audience. That's it. If you say mean things to the audience, they're going to boo you because you said mean things to them. But if you say nice things to the audience and mean things to everybody else, they're going to cheer for you because the audience has been trained that empathy doesn't exist. Empathy doesn't exist in WWE. There's no such thing as somebody saying the golden rule: treat others like you would like to be treated. Nah, that's for suckers, man. In WWE, in a promotion run by Vincent Kennedy McMahon, a sadist and megalomaniac, no. The golden rule, what's that? That's for chumps. So when Drew McIntyre says horrible things to, not horrible things, but like belittles Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, saying, you guys can't carry my jock. Why are you even out here? You know I'm going to beat you. Hey, crowd, don't you agree I'm going to beat the hell out of them? The crowd goes, yeah, Drew McIntyre, you're going to beat the hell out of him. Go beat him up. Actually, please don't GIF this. Oh, damn it, you're going to GIF this. They're cheering. Get it? They're not doing the other thing that you think I'm doing. Please don't GIF that. Everybody is rushing to GIF that. That's great. I did this to myself. I have only myself to blame. Anyway, if Drew McIntyre had said, "Hey, you, Kurt Hawkins, and you, Zack Ryder, you guys both suck. I'm going to kick your ass. This crowd doesn't deserve to watch me kick your ass. These crowd, they're all smelly and they're all fat. And some of the fat ones are also smelly." If he had said that, the crowd would boo him. That's it. He's the same dick to the people in the ring, but because he's not outwardly antagonistic to the crowd cheers for him. That's it. That's it. All you got to do in order to be loved by the crowd is not actively shit on them. It's just Drew being Drew. Now, I like the stuff he's doing. It's fine, but I've always liked him. He's like, this is the thing. This is why I love NXT. I can see, man, this guy is doing a great job in the ring. Also, I think he's super talented on the mic. I'm going to cheer for him whether or not I'm supposed to. So I like that. So I'm going to cheer for. I've always loved Drew, even when he was a heel. A super heel in WWE on the main roster since he's been called up, because he's really great. He's super good. So I want to cheer for that guy. But the crowd was booing for him because you don't deserve to see me kick the arse of Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. You don't deserve to see it because you're all smelly and you all smell bad, and some of you are also fat. And so they booed him. But now he's like, "Hey, crowd, don't you love me?" And they're like, "Yes, we do. We want to be included in your thing." It's a weird deal. Anyway, I've spent too much time talking about Drew McIntyre's relationship to the crowd. He comes out and he talks to, because Randy Orton and AJ Styles are having their little back and forth. And like AJ's like, "Hey, I did all your moves to Akira Tozawa last week. Did you see me do all your moves? I did them better than you did, Randy." And Randy Orton's like, "Well, whatever. I'm Randy Orton. I really don't commit to anything. I just kind of talk in this monotone voice." And that's going to be their whole feud. But then Drew McIntyre comes out, and Drew McIntyre's like, "You guys just shut up. Hey, crowd, wouldn't you like to see a triple threat match between me and these two losers? As opposed to, you guys are a bunch of losers. This crowd doesn't deserve to watch me kick your ass." But he's saying the same thing to the people in the ring. Do you get my meaning? Anyway, the crowd's like, "Yay, triple threat match. Hooray." I mean, I'm like, yeah, triple threat match. Cool. Some good stuff. Good match. Fun. Drew has the upper hand for a lot of it. Randy Orton takes him out with stairs. Hits him with stairs. This is after a pretty cool little variation on the Tower of Doom. They got Drew in the Tree of Woe, and then Randy's about to superplex AJ, and then Drew just sits up and German suplexes Randy, who superplexes AJ. It's a good little variation on it. I don't know if doves are crying necessarily, Sean Ross Sapp, but decent little variation on the Tower of Doom. As I said, Randy takes out Drew McIntyre with the steps on the outside. He brandishes them and runs them into Drew's shoulder, and that knocks him out cold. So in the ring, AJ does the rope hung DDT to Randy, and then he's teasing he's going to do the RKO, and then Randy actually does the RKO to AJ, sits up directly into a Claymore from Drew McIntyre, who then pins AJ Styles. So they're putting over Drew over Randy and AJ, and Drew now as this kind of like badass face character, I think is a decent bet to be somewhere in the mix. Maybe not for Mania, But maybe soon after Mania, if everything goes well, to face Brock Lesnar. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that. I think Drew's a guy who could absolutely kick Brock's ass. I'd love to see it. Ricochet. Well, wait, no. There's a thing where, backstage, Seth Rollins and the AOP are backstage, and they're all doing this. They're doing the thing where they kind of make their taped fingers get. They're doing stuff with gloves because it's a fist fight. Don't you understand? So they have to, like, into the camera. They have to, like, caress their own fists with they're heavily taped and or gloved, and they have to do this so they know we know at home that it's a fist fight. By the way, nobody knows what the fuck a fist fight is. I mean, it's just Vince McMahon's steroid dementia. Hey, let's have a fist fight. It'll be great. Aren't so closed fists are legal when they're not in every other match, but you have people like Lacey Evans winning matches with the women's right, which is a closed fist punch. Whatever. Whatever. But they have a little. Seth Rollins has a little promo and says, "Are we afraid of Are we afraid of Kevin Owens?" And then Akam says something in Punjabi, and then, "Are we afraid of Samoa Joe?" And then Razor says something in Albanian, and it's basically no. Each time he says no. And are we afraid of the Big Show? And they say no. And so we're going to prove to them that nobody can stand in the way of the AOP and the Monday Night Messiah. I don't love the Monday Night Messiah thing. It just feels like it's more trouble than it's worth. But all right. I mean, he's going to be his version of the cult of personality. I mean, if you're actually going to eventually give us a CM Punk versus Seth Rollins thing, I mean, maybe I don't know. If you are, it's interesting to have a guy who's leading a literal cult of personality versus the guy whose theme song is cult of personality. Ricochet has a match versus Mojo Rawley. This is I think the first time, even though they mentioned that AJ and Randy and Drew are all in the Royal Rumble, the one that they really hammered home this whole Royal Rumble thing and momentum towards the Royal Rumble was in this first Ricochet versus Mojo Rawley match. I want to stress this. Momentum towards the Royal Rumble, momentum for the Royal Rumble does not exist. It is not an actual thing. It doesn't, that's not it. There's no way that a match now that you're having now, 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble, can have any bearing on whether or not you throw a dude over the top rope. It just doesn't. I pitched this idea on the Friday show. I think guys should, if you want to do starting January 1st, there are power rankings. The way you performed all of the year before leads to January 1st power rankings come out, and the guys at the top and the guys at the bottom, and you got to jockey for position to even get into the Royal Rumble. That might be interesting. There are guys who are on the bubble, and they need to win some matches to get into consideration to even be in the Royal Rumble, because let's be honest, not everybody's going to be in the Royal Rumble. They're going to include the NXT guys too. SmackDown, Raw, not everybody's going to be in the Royal Rumble. So we got to figure out how we're going to determine that. Also, it'd be kind of interesting if the power ranking showed Drew McIntyre is now ahead of Randy Orton and AJ Styles because he beat them. So Drew McIntyre gets a later entry in the Royal Rumble. If you did it that way, then momentum would work, because you would have motivation to win those matches, so you would move up in the standings to get a better position in the Royal Rumble. As it is now, when everything's fucking random, doesn't matter at all. You can't build momentum for the Royal Rumble. I know you want that to be a thing, WWE, but it's not. That's not how that works. Also, this is the part of the month where everyone who loses gets tossed over the top rope to remind us all that at the end of the month we're gonna get an over the top rope battle royal that is called the Royal Rumble. Don't you understand? Everybody gets thrown over the top rope. Let's do a demonstration of what that would look like. It's really, really condescending and shitty. What's also shitty is Jerry Lawler gaslighting us with, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Mojo Rawley won this match versus Ricochet. Mojo Rawley's not going to beat Ricochet. He shouldn't. And he didn't. He lost. He got hit with the recoil and then a 630 senton, and he lost. Charlotte Flair. Make sure. Yep. Charlotte Flair and Charlotte Logan have a rematch from last week. The match never actually started. It was nice to actually give the women in the locker room a match tonight, considering other women could have matches. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Charlotte Flair, Sarah Logan's got different music now. She's not. I mean, I honestly, every time I see her on Raw, it's kind of like a jobber entrance, or I haven't watched main event, so I don't know how long she's had this Norse kind of. I mean, I don't know. She's a Viking now. She's for the Viking Raiders. They should just put her with the Viking Raiders. I mean, I'm sorry. Just do that. Why not? They're on the same show. She's got to say a similar aesthetic. She can be their Nikki Cross. It'd be interesting to actually have. I would take her a lot more seriously if she was part of a stable that included the Viking Raiders, because I don't take her seriously. Maybe I should. She was brawling a lot with Charlotte, but it's all for naught, because Charlotte wins, as you would think. She gets the figure eight and wins, and then she puts on a robe. Remember last week when Sarah Logan tried to tear Charlotte's robe and it didn't really work? Well, then tonight Charlotte made a show of putting the robe on, and then tossed Sarah Logan over the top rope. I wonder who's got the momentum headed into the Royal Rumble. I would not be surprised to have Charlotte win the Royal Rumble. I mean, they're positioning her as the greatest women wrestler of all time. That's the narrative they're trying to push. She's got the 10 title reigns. I think they're going to try and I think they want her to have a Royal Rumble victory before she retires. It could happen this year. It could. Who knows? There's a backstage promo. Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and Big Show's got Big Show shows off his very huge ham hock fists, and there you go. Owens and Joe admire how big Show's fists are. Wow, that's a big fist. It's true. It's a very large fist. Okay, so here we go. Brock Lesnar, as advertised, Brock Lesnar will be on Raw, and what they're doing with this whole thing leading up to he's going to be on Raw next week too. He won't be wrestling. Heavens no. He doesn't even talk. You could do basically most of the stuff that he does by just bringing out a life-size cardboard cutout of Brock Lesnar and have an intern stand behind it and make it bounce in place. I mean, for all the good it does that he's there. Yeah, so then Paul Heyman gets some cheap heat by, doing a Kentucky accent, which really is more like a deep South Alabama accent. But he's like, y'all need to have better appreciation for the champagne. And then he does his basically his shtick. He just does they do the thing. The crowd boos him and they're saying you suck. So they fake getting out of the ring and going back up the ramp. When they get back in the ring, say, the champ, my client does not suck. And then just, you suck. And they do that for a lot. It's a lot of time killing stuff. You have a full fucking roster of people who could be doing stuff, having storylines for themselves. Things could happen. I know you're capable of doing long-term storytelling because you fucking did it in this fucking episode. So don't tell me you're not able to do it. Instead, you just have Paul Heyman come out and do the same basic shit, talking about the same stuff. Brock Lesnar's going to win the Royal Rumble and bloody blue, and then Brock's just standing there, just taking it, whatever. But anyway, I'm just saying you could use your time better. Time management is a skill that a lot of us struggle with. None more so than WWE. So Paul's doing his thing about how all of his spoilers come true because he speaks the truth, and the truthy truth, all the truth that comes out of my mouth comes the truth. And guess who comes out? R-Truth. R-Truth comes down the thing because he's like, I'm glad you called me out, Paul Heyman. Now, here's the deal. R-Truth is a difficult thing for me to analyze because I genuinely enjoy a lot of his stuff. But, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out, he's definitely the most prominent African-American superstar on Raw. Unless the Street Profits, he's above them, at least certainly the way that they're presented. Yeah, I don't. So if you have him as your top person on Raw, and he's just a comedy character, nobody takes him seriously. And for people who look like him and identify with him, to watch the show and they go, oh, the people here think I'm a joke. Now, I know it's difficult for a lot of people who look like me to watch the show and go, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because, obviously there's not saying that all black people are like that. Well, no, of course not. But they're not presenting other avenues as well. Like, I guess Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley would be a more prominent thing, and he's definitely the opposite of R-Truth. But look at the storyline that he's in. Like, he's in this dreck of a wedding divorce mixed tag match storyline that we'll talk about in a second. So there aren't a lot of top contenders. The New Day is a wonderful dichotomy. They are the exception that proves the rule. They're brilliant in the ring and great comedy characters on the mic. You had an amazing thing with Kofi Kingston, where he was the champion, and everyone, a lot of people really loved it, and it was really important to a lot of people that he was the champion, that he was seen as championship worthy. And then they erased all that. they had the Vanilla Gorilla get in there and beat him with one move in 6 seconds, so that he could not really defend the championship. Not really. So it's difficult to watch R-Truth come in and do legitimately funny stuff. Again, absent all the rest of the context of all the years of this company not representing their minorities greatly. But what Truth does is he comes down and he says, I'm declaring for the Royal Rumble because I'm quoting him. The 24/7, 48/7, 7-Eleven, I-95 South, Lexington, Kentucky European TV champion, which again is funny, unless the reason that he doesn't know what the name of the actual title that he carries and has won like 18 times is, and the reason he doesn't know all that stuff is because he's just some dumb black guy. Now, I don't think that's the truth, but I wouldn't put it past Vince to be presenting the character in that way, because I mean, there's a long history in this country of blacks being presented in that way, and I don't love that that's the only representation really that they have on Raw. So anyway, he says that he's declaring for the Royal Rumble because he wants to take a shot at the big man in the ring, and that's Paul Heyman, he says. And Paul Heyman's like, I'm not in the Royal Rumble. Wait, you're not in the Royal Rumble? It's like, no, I'm not. He is, Brock Lesnar. And so Truth undeclares himself from the Royal Rumble, which again is funny, absent a larger context. And the reason that this is a problem and the context comes back into things, I wouldn't even have thought of this except for the fact that R-Truth then dances for Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar, who has been laughing at R-Truth this whole time, I won't say laughing with. I'm going to say laughing at. Like, look at the guy doing the funny stuff. I'm laughing at you. You make me laugh, but I don't see you as an equal. I'm laughing at your shtick. The reason I say that is because Truth does all of his dance moves and says, that's what's up. And then Brock grabs him and F5s him onto the title belt, on his title belt, and says, in a very, very thick, stereotypical black dialect, that's what's up. And if you're doing that to mock this person who is a different color than you, that's racist. I'm not saying that Brock is a racist, although I've heard some things, but I'm saying that act is racist. To do it in that way for that reason, it's not great. Don't do that. Just don't do it. Don't sully all of the great comedy by making Brock mock the guy with that. Like, you could easily have him say, after R-Truth does all of his stuff, then he F5s him. Then you have Brock say, that's what's up. In a way that's not him mocking the way that Truth talks. I wish that they wouldn't do this kind of shit. There's a fine line, and they don't know how to walk it. They like to step over it and then run a few miles beyond it and go like, are we okay? We're good here? Good? Yeah? No. You're not. R-Truth is being helped to the back because getting F5'd once sort of onto a title belt is debilitating. He can't walk on his own. So Mojo Rawley attacks him on the ramp and pins him because 24/7 champion. And so Mojo Rawley's the 24/7 champion now. He says, you want it? You want it? You can come get it. I'm a fighting champion. Everybody wants this title. They can come fight me. I'm like, all right, Mojo Rawley, you are, I mean, Ricochet had no problem beating you. So, video footage of Bobby Lashley and Lana entering the ring, entering the arena. It's terrible what we have to do. We have to fight. Bobby has to fight Rusev. That's terrible. You know what's even more terrible? This is the problem. Also, they did a whole full, long recap of their wedding and what happened when Lana's first husband entered, and then Bobby's first wife entered, and then Rusev was there, but Liv Morgan was there, who's just so everyone's so jealous. Everyone's so jealous of me. I am Lana. Everyone's jealous of me. Blah, 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 blah. I don't like this storyline. It just seems to be one note being hit over and over and over and again. This feud needed to die a long time ago, but as it is, it continues. It continues. Bobby Lashley and Rusev have a match, and they fight each other. I mean, I like a good hoss battle. This was not a good hoss battle. This is just, there's no heat behind this. I don't care. I don't care if Bobby Lashley and Rusev or beat each other up. I don't care. There was a good moment where Bobby Lashley hit a German suplex on Rusev, who stood right up out of it and hits the Machka kick. It was a good little moment. People love Rusev. I like Rusev a lot. I just don't care about this feud. I think Bobby Lashley could be great in the right role. There's a role for him later on my pitch, but I don't know. So Rusev was going to go for the accolade, but Lana gets involved, and Bobby Lashley, or as Rusev calls him, Bob. Come on, Bob! There's a spot in the corner where Rusev just kept saying, "Come on, Bob! Come on, Bob!" over and over again. So there's a thing where Lana gets distracting and whatever. There's a lariat. They both clothesline each other at the same time. And they fall down, and then Liv Morgan comes out, and she's angry. Now, last week she said she was going to be in Rusev's corner for the match, but I guess they couldn't figure out a way to agent her into being ringside for the entire match. That wasn't a thing that they could do to make good on the promise they made last week. So, I guess we'll just do something different. I mean, I'm fine with what they did here. I mean, I'm not. I hate distraction finishes. But you told us what you were going to do last week, and you did something instead. Don't tell us ahead of time if can't follow through on it, if you don't have a good plan. If you're just like throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Anyway, Liv Morgan comes out and she confronts Lana, but Lana grabs a fan's drink and throws it into Liv's face, and then throws Liv into the barricade, and then Rusev is distracted because, of course, he is, and Bobby hits a spear and gets the win. Back from the commercial, Bobby Lashley and Lana interviewed. They're complaining about Liv Morgan, who really didn't do much of anything. She walked down to the ring. She didn't get involved, really. She was there to confront Rusev, to confront Lana. So Lana is issuing a challenge because nobody ruins my moment, blah, 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 blah. Lana challenges Liv and Rusev to a mixed tag match, and Bobby is not happy about it because he doesn't want to have to fight Rusev anymore. I don't know why, since he beaten Rusev pretty much every time they've wrestled. So, how many times have they wrestled? The answer, too many. And guess what? Add one more time. What did I say a few weeks ago when Liv interrupted the damn wedding. I said her first match back is going to be a mixed tag match with Rusev and Bobby Lashley and Lana. Hoo boy, that'll be great. The Viking Raiders squashed the Singh brothers. The Viking Raiders came out to the ring, had an open challenge, said nobody can face us. Nobody's good enough to face us. And guess what? They're right. Because if you're having you faced the only two actual tag teams on your roster last week. AOP's doing something else. Believe me, I want to see an AOP versus Viking Raiders match more than just about anybody, but they're not available now because they're doing something else. So the only two other teams you have on Raw besides the Viking Raiders are OC and Street Profits. You faced both teams in a triple threat match last week, won that, and now they're like, who's next? And the next up is the Singh brothers? I mean, yeah. I don't love it. They need better tag teams on Raw. I'll just say that. So yeah, this is super squash. The Viking Raiders proved nothing again by beating the Singh brothers. So whatever. Rusev and Liv's doing a thing where she was like, living for the moment, or I'm the living embodiment. She's most of the stuff that she's gonna do is living. I'm living, or I would live for this, or I live for it. Oh, don't you want to live life to the fullest? Livity, live. That's gonna be her thing now, apparently. So yes, long story short, they accept the match. 1 point says, Rusev says something like in his broken English, if you come in my face, I'm going to get angry. And I was like, well, I mean, that's understandable. Anyway, Jerry the King Lawler is moderating the contract signing. Becky Lynch comes down. She's in her Kill Bill attire, her yellow jumpsuit top, and she's sitting there and she's waiting, and Asuka comes down and they do the thing. Asuka immediately signs, no words, just signs the thing. Becky signs, and I was like, oh my god, are we actually going to get through a contract signing with no problems? Nah. Becky says, may the best woman win. And so Asuka stands up and spits the green mist right in Becky's face. Oh no! And Becky reacts as though she's been pepper sprayed with actual acid. I mean, I'm sure it stings, but it really does. Yeah, I thought it was good. Here's the other thing: I would feel a lot worse for Becky in the moment tonight had last week she not instigated the whole damn thing. Like, yes. Asuka came down and was like, you're a chicken. And by the way, she did it again tonight. Asuka's chicken impersonation is off the charts good. She just comes down going, bok, 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 bok. And I'm like, that's very accurate. You could ask Lacey Evans, because Lacey Evans owns chickens. How does a chicken sound? And I don't think Lacey Evans could do as good an imitation as Asuka could. Bok, bok, bok. Anyway, so she did that last week, and she came down to the ring. She didn't do anything physical to Becky. Becky punched her, like in the throat. And Asuka was upset about that last week. So Asuka got her revenge for Becky sucker punching her in the throat-ish last week. So she waited a week. She came out to the contract signing. She spit the green mist in Becky's fist, thus getting revenge for the thing that Becky started. Like, I'm not going to start shit, but I am going to finish it. that's a way that we like people who do that, right? Isn't that a thing we normally do? I don't know. By the way, at ringside, so like everybody is out there trying to save Becky's eyes from from her from being blinded. Which is kind of cool because it does reinforce the narrative that Becky is the golden goose and everyone has to protect her and make sure she's okay. So she asks for a mic. She demands a mic. Give me the frickin' mic. Give me the frickin' mic. She gets on the mic and she has still got her eyes closed. This is all very good. This is all very good, I will say. Asuka, she calls out Asuka. She says, "I'm hungry." Asuka is hungry and angry, and that's good. It's a good thing to be. And Becky's been too content and getting fat, not literally, but like the just complacent. And so she's trying to find an anger in herself to really motivate her to face Asuka because she knows Asuka's got her number. So she found it tonight because Asuka put the mist in her face. Serves you right, Asuka, for getting revenge on being sucker punched. Now you'll think twice about that next time. So she says, I don't care what happens, Royal Rumble. I might lose my title, but so I swear to God, I'm taking you with me. All right. That's good. But again, this would ultimately be a lot more effective if you hadn't had Becky be the shitty douchebag babyface that Vince loves last week by sucker punching her opponent. If Becky had been down there given her promo and Asuka had interrupted and Asuka came down and Asuka threw the first punch and Becky defended herself, fine. But listen, a war of words is just that. Until somebody throws the first punch. And that somebody sucks. I mean, there's certain things you can't say, but none of those things were said by Asuka, as far as I know. She was saying a lot of things Japanese, and maybe they could have pressed that like Becky speaks Japanese, and so she knows what Asuka is saying. Maybe Asuka went there, but they didn't talk about that. So it just looks like thin-skinned Becky punched Asuka because she didn't like that Asuka was calling her a chicken. That's Marty McFly's cousin, Becky McFly. Nobody calls me chicken. That's it. This was as contract signings go, pretty good one. I'll say that. Could have been better. Oh, there's a big long thing we get. Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega are talking, and then blah blah blah. Zelina Vega talks about basically they're saying that Zelina has last week Andrade beat Rey Mysterio in a really convoluted, stupid finish where Rey Mysterio accidentally knocked over Zelina Vega and was like distraught about it, and then they rushed it, so the referee made them do it over again, which was just weird because it's not taped, fellas. Like, you're doing this live in front of everybody. It looks really weird. And then Andrade hit the hammerlock, and then he stole Rey's mask. And then later, Rey jumped Andrade, and so Zelina Vega reveals that they had to press charges against a criminal. I keep calling Rey a criminal. And they say he's a bad father. And whatever. Andrade says he's going to defend his title. He's going to be good. All right. Yes. And then Rey Mysterio has his own little interview, and he says, "You don't talk about me." Oh, that's the other thing. Andrade says that Rey isn't a real Latino, which is a weird thing to say. And then Rey says he is, and that he's also a good father. I don't know. So, next week there's going to be a ladder match: Andrade versus Rey Mysterio, and that has the potential for me to say nothing bad about it. That could be an excellent, excellent, excellent TV match. Will you please do that? Will you please do that and not something else that sucks? Please. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. Leading into this match, and indeed, at the end of this match, I was thinking to myself, man, Buddy Murphy really needs a win here. Like, really, really, really needs a win. Because he's going to be in limbo if he loses this thing. Like, they've positioned him, they made him look good in all the matches. But that doesn't matter to Vince. It loses this match. It loses this feud. In the way, like losing 3 matches in a row, Vince is going to have him on main event by like Valentine's Day, if not sooner. So they got to make Buddy look great in this match, and he's got to win. Well, one of two. He looks great. This match was fucking awesome. I love the way these guys wrestle each other. They're so good. There's such great chemistry. I love it so much. Little things back and forth, like the selling they do for each other is just I love it. There's a one point where Buddy Murphy is able to hit he hits Aleister Black, goes for one of his quebradas off the middle rope back into the ring, and gets kicked in the solar plexus. And then Buddy Murphy hits Murphy's Law. And I was like, oh my God, they're actually going to give him the win. And as I was saying that out loud, Aleister Black rolled over toward the ropes. And I was like, God damn it. You idiots. You're really going to have Black's foot on the ropes, and Black's going to go on to win the match, and Buddy Murphy's going to lose 3 in a row. What are you doing? Buddy Murphy's so incredibly talented. You're not going to like build him to lose, to get shut out in a feud versus Aleister Black, are you? And yeah, they did. Yeah, so then he's going to try the Murphy's Law again. And Aleister Black can't stand. So, so Murphy goes for Black Mass again, like he went for it last week. Black ducks. He gets a Black Mass. Then there's a weird thing where I actually liked it, but I didn't think they needed to do what they did. Murphy, after the Black Mass, like barely gets one leg up to kind of not really kick out at all. But he's unconscious after the Black Mass, and he just like gets one leg up, like, and they're like, oh, shoulder was up. Nobody believed that. So what does that happen? Then they have to get Murphy up on his knees again to do Black Mass again. If that was intentional, it didn't look right. It's really weird to have the Black Mass kicked out of for the first time in that way. So yeah, 2 Black Masses beats Buddy Murphy again. And we go down to the ring after this whole thing, after the commercial. Eric Rowan is having a match, but right before the commercial, they said our main event is next. The main event is not Eric Rowan squashing some poor jobber. But the interesting thing here, and what is saving all of this, because I went into this commercial furious at the terrible booking decision by WWE to basically, no way that they should look at Buddy Murphy as being buried after having 3 great matches with Aleister Black, who remains undefeated. But you know how Vince likes to lose interest in stuff. And it's so much easier to lose interest in Buddy Murphy when Buddy Murphy isn't winning. The problem is that you're deciding, Vince, whether or not he wins or loses. I just don't like it. So I thought it was over for Buddy. I was like, oh no, it's too bad. They come back and Eric Rowan's got the damn thing in the cage, whatever it is. They never even name the poor dude he's in the ring with. That guy is being pulled before, like, this match starts, and as the match is starting, you see that Buddy Murphy is still sitting ringside. He can't move. He's so distraught at having lost to Aleister Black when he knows he can beat him. He knows he can beat him. He had him, but Aleister Black got his foot on the rope, and he was the only guy to ever kick out of Black Mask, kind of. But he knows he can beat Aleister Black, so he's sitting there and he's just trying to go over things in his head. You could see the wheels turning. And meanwhile, there's a new match in the ring, which I've never seen before. Like, really. Like, the guy from the match previous just hanging out at ringside, unable to get up and leave because psychologically he's just not capable of doing that. And then Charlie Caruso's there and is like, hey, buddy, I just want to ask one question. I guess the one question would be like, why haven't you left the ringside area yet? But he's like, Charlie, no, please, just not now. Don't talk to me right now. So he's still sitting there. And Eric Rowan is beating up some poor jobber. He tries to pull the jobber over and show him what's in the thing, and the jobber like pulls away and runs away, so Rowan throws him in the barricade, and he says, I wanted to show you what was inside of my cage. And so he goes over and he opens the door and he sticks his hand in and he goes, ah! And he pulls it out. And obviously he had pulled his hand in there so he could squeeze a blood capsule into his hand. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's nothing in the fucking cage. And so he goes away. He's like, he opens his hand kind of to show the blood. And he goes, bad, bad. And then he gets in the ring and he yells, bad, bad at the jobber and squashes him. And then he picks him up with his bloody hand, does the iron claw thing and does, so he puts the blood on the guy's face. I don't know what the hell we're doing with this whole Eric Rowan thing. Can we stop? Can we stop doing the thing with the Eric Rowan thing? Can we stop it, please? Just come out and tell us you don't know what the hell's in the stupid fucking cage. You don't know. You have no idea. This is the goddamn lost smoke monster all over again. You never knew what the smoke monster was. You were like, it's a smoke monster. No, it's not. It's a bunch of like nano machines or something. What is it? You don't know? You never knew what it was. They don't know. They have no idea what the thing in the cage. They don't know. They don't know what it is. Stupid. Anyway, so that's it. And then we go to the fist fight. Like really close to the end of the show. Like they have an overrun, but who knows? Like this was really fast. Immediately there's just total, like, it's not a fist fight. Nobody's throwing fists. What they announce is that there's no holds barred. Everything is legal. No disqualifications. Other things. The only way to stop the match is if the ref decides all 3 members of a team are not able to continue. then he calls it. What? Those are the rules of a fist fight? That doesn't. Okay, that's okay. Fine. So it's a last team standing match, but without the 10 count. So they never do the 10 count. It's a last team standing match. As long as one guy is standing and continuing, then the match continues. But if all three of them are lying down, at any time, the ref, using his own discretion, can call for the bell. That's asinine. And it shows that you had no fucking idea what the hell you were doing when you booked this fucking match at the last hour, at the last minute, last week. Okay? So there's kendo sticks and tables and stuff and fighting on the apron and not on the ring, but on the stage. There, you know how the I don't know if you've seen the Raw stage, like curves up and kind of like a half pipe. Kevin Owens at some point runs up that to dive onto the AOP. It's pretty amazing. Joe hits a senton onto one of them. Now, down to the ring, it's Seth versus the Big Show. And Big Show's whipping him all over the place. He throws Rollins to the outside. Because our action is so far apart and the camera's only focused on one thing at a time, it's really easy to like lose track of what's going on the other side of in the other scene. You know what I mean? But at some point, while all that carnage is going up on the stage, Rollins gets tossed to the outside and he lands next to Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy is still there. And I'm like, this could be so good. And Seth looks up at Big Show, looks over at Buddy and says, Buddy, help us. And Buddy's just sitting there and he just looks at Seth and he's still thinking. And Big Show is about to do something to Seth in the ring, and then Buddy Murphy from behind with the low blow, the old Flair low blow between the legs. And Big Show briefly gets control of everything, tosses Buddy Murphy out, as is beating on Seth Rollins, but up on the stage, they have put, I believe, Samoa Joe on the announce table and power bombed or something like that, Kevin Owens onto Samoa Joe, putting them both at the table, and now they're out for the count. I'm pretty sure I've seen both men in hardcore matches that lasted like 40 minutes. So it's weird that this one they were put out so quickly. But anyway, in the ring, AOP come down and they're beating up Big Show. And Buddy Murphy gets back in the ring and he sets up Big Show on his knees so that Rollins can give him the stomp. And the ref like looks up at the stage like he's like can barely see Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. He's like, well, I guess they can't compete. And Big Show's laying down, just took a finisher. That's it. I'm calling for the bell. I mean, okay. But that doesn't matter. As stupid as all these rules for this thing is, that doesn't matter because Buddy Murphy has now joined Seth's faction. Seth now has the Bruisers and AOP, a tag team. They're the muscle. And Buddy Murphy is his top lieutenant. And you can't tell me otherwise. That's what it's going to be. Seth Rollins at the top of the faction. Below him, Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy going to wrestle all those matches that keeps Seth safe. Buddy Murphy is going to take a lot of pinfalls, but he's involved. in the top angle on Raw. Buddy Murphy is in the top angle on Raw, and I'm so happy. I'm not going to like seeing him take a lot of pinfalls. But Buddy Murphy versus Samoa Joe. Buddy Murphy versus Kevin Owens. And this is how you cement this shit. Next week on Raw, 1-on-1, Buddy Murphy versus Big Show, and Buddy Murphy wins clean in 7 minutes. That's the only way to rehab him. He's lost 3 matches in a row to Aleister Black. Seth Rollins asked, in desperation, asked Buddy Murphy to be with us. A man who, like, you could tell Buddy doing great acting at ringside during the Eric Rowan thing. You could tell he was a man who was lost. He did not know if he had it anymore. He was amazing when he had his cruiserweight title run, but ever since then, he's had a serious losing record. About the only match I remember him winning of any real consequence was that match he had versus Daniel Bryan. Like, I think he had a match versus Apollo Crews on a pre-show once. He won that match, but that was like, he's on a serious losing streak. So he doesn't know what to do with himself as a man who prides himself on winning. So here comes Seth Rollins saying, join us, be with us. He's at his lowest point, Buddy Murphy. He's at his lowest point. And so he says, yeah, I'll join you. I'll do it. The best part about this is, as the show's going off the air, they pan across all 4 guys, all with their arms raised. They have AOP, and they're frothing at the mouth. They're so angry. And they have, the next is Seth Rollins. And he's there, and he's like, screw all of you. I'm the best. I'm the Mennonite Messiah. And they pan over, and it's Buddy Murphy. And the crowd is booing vociferously. They're just raining down audible hatred on the 4 men with their arms raised in the ring. And what's Buddy Murphy doing? He's got his arms raised. He's got his eyes closed. He's got his face turned up to the lights. It's the first time he's been at peace, maybe ever in his life. That reaction from the crowd, Buddy Murphy knows that deep down inside, he knows he deserves their hatred. He deserves their derision, because if he can't beat Aleister Black, he's not worth spit. But in a matter of defiance, he's going to figure out a way to pick himself up and move forward with his life by attaching himself to Seth Rollins. There's got to be also next week a promo from Buddy Murphy detailing why he decided in that moment to join Seth Rollins. There won't be, probably. It'll probably be Seth Rollins talking about why he decided to recruit Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy will get maybe 2 sentences, but there should be a 90-second promo from Buddy Murphy talking about his history, how he's what he's gone through, and why now was the perfect time to join Seth Rollins. It's so perfect. It's so perfect, guys. This is an exact, especially since the main roster, this is a perfect continuation of everything that what he was doing on SmackDown before, where all he wanted to do was prove himself. He had that awesome match with Roman Reigns, but he lost. Hey, he beat Daniel Bryan in another great match. What happened the next week? He had a match versus Mustafa Ali, his old nemesis from 205 Live. First round of the King of the Ring tournament. A dark horse, possible candidate to win the whole thing. Loses the match. Basically off of SmackDown after that. Winds up on Raw. not really doing much of anything. Knocks on Aleister Black's door because he wants to prove something to himself and everybody else, that he's as good as Aleister Black. What happens? Aleister Black beats him 3 times in a row. And Buddy Murphy's the end of his rope. And who throws him a lifeline? Seth Rollins. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll be evil with you. Why not? Because as much as we like to think of Buddy Murphy as being the heel this whole time, he's never been a heel. Not really. He's just a man who is supremely confident, bordering on arrogant. There are so many athletes that we admire who are cocky sons of bitches, but damn, they're talented. We really liked watching them play. Same thing with Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy doesn't do anything evil. Like even last week when he attacked Aleister Black, that was only to prove to everybody that he could really beat Aleister Black. He could prove it. He proves it by going down there and beating up Aleister Black. Now, it's a heel move, sure, but not in Buddy Murphy's mind. In Buddy Murphy's mind, that's righteous. And so joining Seth Rollins and becoming part of this, whatever this is, we haven't gotten a name for this faction yet, that's also a means to an end. And what I want so badly is after, and you have to book this next week, Buddy Murphy beats Big Show clean next week. Then he starts angling for Seth Rollins to get AOP to take out Aleister Black. Hey, Seth, do you think I could have custody of the boys for a second? Because I want to go down to the ring, and I want Buddy Murphy to make Aleister Black's life a living hell, but by throwing AOP in it all the time, and Aleister Black saying, Buddy Murphy, okay, you want another match? You got it. And Buddy Murphy's like, I don't want another match, Aleister. I just want to ruin your life. Until eventually Aleister Black gets Buddy Murphy to agree to another match. And then you can really end that feud. But I think there's awesome ways of like being able to. I don't think Big Show is really your third partner, not long term. So I think that Buddy Murphy can kind of send him back into retirement, semi-retirement, with a win next week. Maybe he even uses Seth's stomp. Like he's allowed to use it. You know what I mean? Like he's yeah, I know. It just came to me, because also the end of all of this is Buddy Murphy getting too big for this whole thing and recruiting the AOP to mutiny on Seth Rollins, because eventually, I don't know if you realize this, they're going to turn Seth face again because they really want to. They only turned him heel because they had to, because they screwed everything up so bad. They want him to be a babyface. So how they're going to do it is by having Buddy Murphy lead a mutiny against Seth Rollins. And if not, then Buddy Murphy turns babyface and Seth Rollins is the heel. And Buddy Murphy gets to work from underneath in a bunch of matches versus the AOP. That's great. But anyway, what I'm saying is Big Show goes away after next week. And who becomes the third man in this whole thing for Seth, for Samoa Joe and KO, for KO Joe? Aleister Black, because Buddy Murphy drags him back into it too. So now we got Aleister Black, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe, that triumvirate, versus the foursome of Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, and AOP. I don't know who the fourth guy is that KO Joe and Aleister Black are going to get. Ooh, but maybe Drew McIntyre, now that he's a babyface. So we have matches on the horizon with a combination of Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, AOP versus some combination of Samoa Joe, KO, Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre. Do you know how much potential they have into making this so awesome? But they're not gonna. And that's the problem. Is you know how Paul Heyman does his whole thing like that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. Here's a spoiler. As good as this whole angle could possibly be with Buddy Murphy, you like being true to the character and the whole arc of everything he's done since he's been on the main roster, turning and becoming part of Seth Rollins' faction, and everything that could possibly happen after that. Buddy Murphy's going to face Big Show next week and lose, or win because the AOP attacked Big Show behind the ref's back, something like that. Buddy Murphy's never going to get to look good again. But for right now, for tonight, I get to dream. I get to dream that Buddy Murphy has an angle versus Seth Rollins for ownership of this faction, which by at some point has ballooned to like 6 or 7 guys. Basically, Seth Rollins is leading the new NWO. And I'm here for that. Yeah. Do you know how many millions of times better all of this is than anything on SmackDown? My God. Anyway, so that was Raw. And that's hopefully what Raw has in store for us, at least for the first half of 2020. If I get my way, which I never do. But I've been Alex Pawlowski. You can hear me. You can follow me on the Twitters by Alex Sour Graps. Alex Sour Graps. You can buy my merch. This is Sour Graps T-shirt. Everyone that gets sold, I get a little bit of the little chunk of change. So that's nice. If you'd like to support me in my crazy rantings, thanks for subscribing to Fightful Select. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. I'm here again on Wednesday talking about really good stuff, NXT and AEW. Well, AEW wasn't so great last week, but I have faith, and NXT is always great. Plus, I'll be back again on Friday or maybe Saturday talking about the worst fucking wrestling show in the history of the world, SmackDown. But for now, again, this has been Alex Pawlowski for Sour Grabs. Everything sucks.